Hi, and welcome back to Beyond the Monsters. Today we have Destynie here with us. All right, Destynie, welcome.
Hi. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes. And you start wherever you're comfortable.
Okay. So I guess I'll probably just start from when I joined the military. I can breeze through a lot of it, but so this is pretty much going to be about my journey with Crohn's disease and my battle with the military healthcare system and the VA going forward.
Okay.
So I joined the Air Force in January of 2007. I literally left 3 days before the month was over, so I got to nail the January date. Graduated basic training and then tech school, so I was done with that around the end of March. Graduated tech school middle of May because I got married like right in the middle of May. So after that, I was stationed in Arkansas until 2009, and then we got stationed in England. From 2009, I was there from 2000 until 2011. So one of the things that they say about Crohn's is it's brought on by like stress. So they can't really there's no signs for it, but they say that like stress will trigger it, drinking will trigger it, existing will trigger it. It's all on who you are as a person, right?
Right.
So I got divorced in 2010. We had a daughter together. I was stationed in a special forces squadron. So I packed parachutes for a living, is what I tell everybody. And I did like life-saving equipment on the aircraft. So I was gone all the time. So like her staying with me was not to her benefit. So she went with her dad. We had a really great relationship.
Oh, good.
So every time I went home on leave, I got to see her the whole time. Like seeing her wasn't an issue. I could call whenever I wanted. So like him and I were best friends in high school, and we just got married and it just didn't work out. So got divorced. And then shortly after I got divorced in December of 2010, I started with the symptoms of Crohn's disease. So my favorite way to explain probably the worst symptom that I think is almost like an ice pick stabbing you in your intestines consistently. This is going to get a little gory, so I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
It's going to get a little gory. So that's kind of what it feels like, and it just hits out of nowhere. Like I would be driving and it would just, ow, this hurts so bad. And like I didn't know what to do. And then
So did you know at this point that you actually had it? Really? Okay, so you're just getting these pains.
Yep, and I'm like, this isn't normal. It's like multiple trips to the bathroom. I lost probably 60 pounds in 9 months. Yeah. Yep, I was extremely fatigued. Like if I wasn't at work, I was sleeping. That was really all my body would allow me to do.
Yeah.
So I started going to the ER in 2010 because I was like, something is wrong. Like this isn't normal. Normal people don't walk around and feel like their insides are trying to pop out of their body. So I go to the ER a few times. My best friend in the entire world, after one ER trip in particular, it was a very vulnerable moment for me during this ER visit. She just held my hand and she looked at me on the way home and she was like, so we're no longer best friends. Like we just became sisters. And I was like, girl, you have now seen parts of me that nobody has ever seen, even me. So yes, I agree. And they still couldn't figure out what was wrong. They're like, you have stomach ulcers. And I was like, I promise you my intestines do not feel this way with stomach ulcers.
Yeah.
I've dropped all this weight. Like, it was just, I was like, is somebody going to listen to me at some point? Because I would go to the doctor and they'd be like, oh, here's 48-hour quarters. And quarters is where like, here's this slip of paper that says you have to stay in bed at home. Well, I had just gotten divorced. I was an E4. Like, I didn't live on base. I lived in my own house off base. So they were like, you have to go home and you have to go lay in bed. Again, okay, it hasn't worked the last 5 times you've told me I have the flu. Like, why do I keep getting the flu?
Were you always having the pain too? Was it pain and then just having to go to the bathroom?
Yeah. There was one point when my symptoms like were out of control. I wasn't on any medication. Nobody knew what was wrong. I was literally going to the bathroom 30 to 40 times a day.
Jeez.
And that in and of itself is terrifying because like your body only has so much in it. So like
Not to be gross, but it
no.
normally it's like very loose stool,
Mm-hmm.
just like almost water
Mm-hmm.
coming. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And like when your intestines are that inflamed, they start secreting to try to like protect themselves, and it's almost like snot. Like
Okay.
that's the best way to describe
Yeah.
it. So I would go to the ER and I would tell these doctors this, and they're like, "You have the flu." You're right. I'm not a medical professional. What do I know? You're
Right.
totally correct. Um, so I go to the doctor one last time in 2010, and no, this is probably the middle of 2011. And he looks at me and he's like, "You've been here so many times in the last couple months that if you come back, we're going to make you stay here because you're supposed to PCS. I was supposed to PCS. I had orders to Okinawa, Japan. I was living in England. I'm going to the tropical island. Like, be careful what you tell me here, sir, because this is going to go one of two ways." He says, "If you come back here one more time, we're going to make you stay because we're going to have to send you to a GI specialist because we don't have any military doctors on the island. You have to go to an English one." And I was like, first of all, no. He's like, "And then you're not going to be able to leave until we figure out what's wrong with you." So I stopped going to the doctor. I was like, I'm not staying here. Like, work was toxic. My best friend had left. She deployed. So I was like, I literally have no reason to be here. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just not going to go to the doctor. Sorry, whatever.
Not to mention, they should have done that the first or second time you went.
You
You know,
know,
like, oh, you need to go to a gastro or something.
would have been nice. Like, if they would have, like, I understand that, like, with the ER, you don't always see the same doctor.
Yeah.
But my chart's right there. Obviously, somebody read it because he was like, one more time. And I was like, sir, thank you for telling me that because I won't be back. Appreciate you. Oh, it was awful. So I don't go back. I don't go back to the doctor. Things get worse. So Thanksgiving 2011 rolls around and it's like my PCS. So when you PCS, they give you like a certain amount of time off to go see your family. It's a little bit longer if you go from overseas to overseas.
Okay.
So I went home. I was like, it's a holiday. I haven't been home for a holiday and I don't know how long. Let's go. So I went, I saw my parents. I got to see my baby. Like I got to see my nieces and all that stuff. So it was a really good time. But I get off the plane and I'm like, I'm so excited. I'm at O'Hare. I'm going through customs. Like, I'm going to see my baby girl. I walk out of like the customs door and my mom's face drops and she just starts crying. And I was like, she's either really excited to see me or something is wrong. So my daughter's like, "Mommy." And I'm like, "Hi, baby." And I pick her up. I have this huge backpack on. I have all these bags that I have to go get. And my mom is sobbing. And I'm like, "Do you want a hug? Like, what's the matter?" So she gives me a hug and she can literally wrap her arms
Because you lost so much
completely
weight.
around me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't realize it. Like, I had to take a PT test before I PCS. So they were like, "Yeah, you're in shape, whatever." I'm not in shape. I am a beanpole that's sick and probably dying. But sure, I'm in shape. They measure my waist and they're like, "Oh, you're at a 26 and a half. We're not going to measure that again." I was like, "At a who?" She's like, 26 and a half. I was like, "Inches?" She goes, "Yes." I said, "Around." And she goes, "Mm-hmm." And I was like, the last time you guys did this a year ago, I was like a 30. I've lost 4 inches in a year. She's like, "Yeah, your workouts must be great." I was like, "Actually, the up and downs are just not doing it for me anymore." And she was like, "What?" And like my Amanda was there with me and she was cackling. She was like taken out. She was like, "Yeah." So I'm home. Every time I eat something, I'm in like tears. Like there's a picture of me and my daughter cuddling on the couch. And like I didn't realize how bad it was until I got better. But like looking at this picture, my eyes are sunken in. You can see my collarbone. I was yellow. Like I was like, "Destynie, you were going out to the club thinking you looked good. Like, girl, this is gross. What
Yeah.
is happening?" So we go out to eat as a family, like the first or second day that I'm there, and like I'm just in tears. Like I can only eat 3 bites of it. I was in the bathroom 4 times before we even left the restaurant. And my dad was like, "Will you please go to the doctor? Like, go see your family doctor.
Right. Because you're
He's
home
known you since you
now.
were
Yeah.
this big." Yeah. So I go to my family doctor he gets me in and he's like, hey, what's going on? And I was like, hey, doc, I have something for you. And I pull this list out of my pocket. I'm like, here's my symptoms. He goes, Destynie, people over the age of 50 hand me lists of symptoms. What is this? And I was like, everything that's been happening to me for the last year. And he was like, okay, well, we're going to do some blood work. And I was like, okay. So he doesn't tell me what it is, and he does blood work, and he comes back in the room, and he's like, I have called down to the ER. You need an emergency CT scan. You need to go down there right now. I was like, okay. So down to the ER I go. I'm not there very long because he had already called. And the ER doc walks in, and he's like, have you ever heard of Crohn's disease? And I was like, no. What is that? He's like, well, bad news is it's an autoimmune disease. Good news is there's medication to get it under control. I was like, medication does not sound like good news, but sure. Okay, sir. Thank you. So leave the ER, doc calls me back and he's like, hey, here's an envelope. You need to give this to your doctor as soon as you in process at your new base. You're not allowed to open this. And I was like, okay. So I take it from him and he looks at my mom and he goes, she's not allowed to open it. Like, if you have to take it from her until she leaves, don't let her see it.
Yeah, right.
I was like, okay, sure. Well, I never opened it. I know. I would think
Better
I was
than
too
me, girl.
sick. I think I was too sick,
yeah.
to be honest. So I left not too long after Thanksgiving. I think it was maybe like the Monday after I left. I flew from Chicago to Seattle, and then from Seattle to Tokyo, and then from Tokyo to Okinawa. Well, somebody on the flight from Seattle to Tokyo was sick. So I didn't know this. My immune system is not working at this point. Like, a cold could have taken me right out, right?
Yeah.
Get to Okinawa, working on in processing, still super sick, still going to the bathroom, still dealing with all this pain. But it had been so long by this point that I was like, oh, this is normal. It's like, oh yeah, that hurts more than normal. Okay, I don't love that, but it wasn't like,
you were just dealing with it.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was just constant all the time. So I was like, this is my life now. This is fine. So I go out to the smoke pit with a bunch of the people that I'm going to be working with and like in processing and stuff. And we're all just hanging out, smoking and chit chatting. And all of a sudden I looked at one of the girls and I just fainted, just down. They wake me up. It's November in Okinawa, so it's still like 75 to 85 degrees. My lips are blue. My nails are blue. My teeth are chattering. I am freezing, like shaking. They put a parka on me and had to carry me to a vehicle to take me to the doctor. I was like, I don't know what's happening. So I ended up getting bronchitis from the flight between Seattle and Tokyo, and it almost took me out.
Yeah, because of your immune system, sure.
Yeah. And the worst part is I was sitting all the way in the back of the plane, so everything was just circulating like right where I was. You could hear all the coughing. It was so gross. Ugh.
I'd be freaking out.
Big flights like that are so nasty. So I get to this, so I'm not even in process to the base yet. I've done like maybe 5 of the mandatory meetings. I haven't gone to a hospital. I haven't gone to a doctor. I haven't done anything. I was more than content with putting it off because I was like, I don't know this is a new place. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't want to. So one of my really good friends that I end up working with, she's like, I called in a favor over at Flight Medicine. We're getting you over there right now. And I was like, okay, yay. So I actually have this envelope with me at all times for when I in process the doctor, right? So we get there and they're like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, I don't know. This is from my doctor at home. And they're like, okay. So they get me an antibiotic and all this stuff to like get the bronchitis to go away.
Which it is kind of weird, though, that the family doctor didn't at least explain stuff to you.
He told me nothing.
Yeah.
I was like, sir, it would be nice to know what's happening. It is my body, right?
That would give me crazy anxiety, not knowing.
Now it would. Back then, I was like, whatever, dude. You know what's best. It's fine. Because I trusted him. He was always great to, like, he was my entire family's doctor, from my dad to my baby brother. So now I would have been like, you're going to tell me before I leave this office what is wrong with me, right?
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, well, we'll look this over and we'll give you a call. And I was like, okay. And they're like, well, with all the symptoms that you've had too, you should probably go see a GI, but they're like 6 to 9 months out on their appointments. I'm like, well, I don't know if we have that much time, but okay, sure, why not? They called me in less than 2 hours and told me that the GI was going to see me the next morning at 7:30.
After looking at your stuff.
I was like, why? They're like, what do you mean, why? I was like, no, but for real, why? Because you just told me 6 to 9 months and now it's tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
And they're like, ma'am, something is like wrong. Like, you need to go see them. And I was like, okay, great. Awesome. Love that for me. So I go to the GI the next day and he's this Navy doc, and like nothing against Navy docs. It's just docs in general. Some have really good bedside manner. Some you just want to punch in the mouth for just existing the way that they do.
I think that's most of them nowadays.
Yeah. And he was just so unemotional about everything. Like, it was like, this is a medical condition. This is what we do to fix it. This is what happens if it's not working. Like, he was just so boring. I was like, sir, animate just a little bit if you could. Like, that would be cool. No animation whatsoever. So he's like, okay, puts me on, I swear to you, I had 9 different bottles that he put me on. I was taking 27 different pills a day between steroids, medicine to get my intestines to start working they were supposed to, medicine to help with my, because I had an infection in my intestines too. So medicine to help with that. Yeah. Medicine for the consistent going to the bathroom, and then a steroid to get my inflammation to go down, and then I was on another steroid. So yeah, 6 or 7.
Jeez.
Yep. Yeah, that was really fun. Oh, and then anti-nausea medication. It was 7 because all that at the same time made me sick.
I'm sure.
And then it also made me feel like I was high all the time because my body was like, oh, we feel really good now. What is this? And I was like, I don't know, but I don't like the way this makes me feel. This is not a good time. Like, higher than a kite.
Was it actually helping the symptoms?
At first, kind of. Like, I went from 20 to 30 times a day to 15 to 20. So, I mean, ish.
A little.
So, we tried this for like a month, and I'm like, dude, like, I'm tired of being on prednisone. Like, this is not it. The side effects of prednisone, I now can't take it anymore because it gives me steroid-induced sleep apnea because I've taken it so much.
Right.
And the moon face is just not for me. Because I had this little teeny tiny body and then this huge face. And I was like, this is so weird. I hate this so much. So
it does that bad.
Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. And so then he's like, okay, well, we were trying to get it under control enough that we can do a colonoscopy. And I was like, I am 24 years old. You want to do what? He was like, you need to go in for a colonoscopy. And I was like, okay. All right. Okay.
Wow, and you were in bad shape then if they didn't even want to do the colonoscopy and they wanted to fix that first.
Mm-hmm. That was the goal.
Yeah.
So he thought that since my frequency had calmed down and like the stabbing wasn't as bad as it was before, that I had learned to manage myself, that we were good to go for this procedure. So I do the prep. Oh my God. I literally can no longer do the liquid prep. I have to do pills now.
Same. I was like that too. Those barium swallows you used to have to do. And oh my God.
Nope. Every time I go in for an MRI now, I'm like, is it with or without contrast? And they're like, why? I'm like, as if it's with, I'm not going. Like, the end of story. That's why I'm asking. Right. So I go in for I do the prep. It's awful. I go in for my procedure. And it's only been like 30 minutes and I'm waking up and I'm like, I feel like that was really fast. Like, what is happening right now? He goes, you were crying under anesthesia. He goes, so I stopped. He's like, I barely got 3 centimeters into where I needed to be. He's like, I can't see anything. I was like, what do you mean you can't see anything?
Yeah.
Like, not really sure what you're supposed to be able to see, but what do you mean? He goes, everything is so inflamed down there. He goes, 3 centimeters was the most I could get. He goes, because I wasn't willing to do it with, he goes, you were sobbing. He goes, and you were all the way under. I was like, well, I hate
Yikes.
that for me. Thanks.
Right.
So we tried another round of steroids, a different kind, and it still didn't work. So he was like, okay.
Are you outpatient at this point?
No, so I'm still going to the Navy hospital.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
on Camp Foster. I'm still in the military. So he's like, I have to put you on a biologic. He's like, because we have to do something to suppress your immune system. And I was like, I don't know what that means, but sure, if it's going to make me feel better, why not? He's like, I don't think anything's going to work for you except for Remicade. And I was like, what's that? He's like, well, it's the strongest biologic you can go on. He's like, it's used for a bunch of different stuff, but it will nail all of your symptoms at the same time. He goes, it's going to make you sicker than a dog for the first 2 months. He's like, but eventually you will start to feel better. And I was like, based on your bedside manner, I don't know if I believe you. You're kind of boring. I don't know. You don't even sound excited about the fact that I'm potentially going to feel better. What do you mean? So he's like, do you want to try it, or do you want to keep doing this whole steroid pill merry-go-round rodeo that we've been doing? I was like, no, we can give it a try. So with Remicade, it's a loaded dose, and then it's 2 weeks after, and then 4 weeks, and then 6 weeks, and you're supposed to be on it every 8 weeks. So the first time I was on Remicade, I ended up on it every 6 weeks within 2 months. Yeah. Because once I hit like the 7-week mark, everything came back full force. And I was like, sir,
Wow.
this is supposed to make me feel better. Like, we're not doing that again.
Were
He's
you
like,
feeling better?
yeah.
Okay.
It was amazing. I was like,
And you weren't sick?
no,
Wow.
no.
Because he said like you'd be totally sick for 2 months.
Oh, so for 2
Right.
months, it was rough.
Oh, it was. Okay.
During the loaded, like the 2 weeks and then 4 weeks and then 6 weeks, that was rough. I felt like I had the flu for a month and a half
Really?
straight. Yeah, because it like, when everything like lets go, all that pain and pressure is like, hello.
Yeah.
Here's the consequences of your actions. Enjoy. And I was like, this sucks
Right.
so bad.
Gosh.
Like, my teeth hurt at one point, and I was like, there's nothing to do. Okay. All right.
Well,
so,
systemic. Yeah. It's probably affecting your entire body.
So Crohn's also, I found out, affects everything from the very front of your mouth all the way through your GI system. It also affects your bones, your joints, your skin. What's the other one? I think that's it. That's it. Those are the top.
It's enough.
five.
It's enough, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It'll swell up your joints. You can get like skin lesions. Like, it's just gross. Like, across the board is gross. So I'm on Remicade. Remicade's working out fantastic. Once it finally like gets itself together, everything's great. And then my doctor's like, you are going to have to be on this for the rest of your life. I was like, okay, cool. He's like, not cool. And I was like, explain then. Why is that not cool? He's like, because since this medicine is killing your immune system, you can't get live vaccines. And I was like, oh,
That.
so I can't deploy. And he was like, never. And I was like, okay, so what does that mean? He's like, well, that means we have to start the process of your MEB. I was like, but what if I don't want an MEB? He's like, then I have to take you off your biologic. He goes, and we'll be for real, if that progresses the way that it was before, he's like, you probably won't make it another 2 years. I was like, cool. Thanks for that. MEB
Wow.
process. Go ahead. Yeah, because he's like, Destynie, if your body dies down that much again, he's like, I don't know that you'll ever be able to kickstart it.
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
Makes sense.
That's not scary. And like, I have a daughter back in the States. Like,
And you're young.
yeah, I'm 25. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, fine. So we start the MEB process. The MEB process sucks. Because they're like, here's all this medical stuff that's wrong with you. Now you're stuck here. You can't go on leave unless it's local. And my little brother had just joined the military, and he was graduating basic training in April. And I was like, I will be at his Air Force basic training graduation in my uniform because I outrank him and I have to beat him up. And they're like, well, if you're not done with your MEB, you can't go. I was like, what? Okay, cool. So they start this process 2012. It takes until March of 2013 for them to send me to Travis Air Force Base in Northern California I was on the ground for 36 hours. It's like a 7-hour flight. They flew me to LA, and then I flew to San Diego, and then I flew to San Francisco, and then they sent me up to Travis. And I was like, I feel like that was a lot of, because like in the military, when you're flying anywhere, it's the cheapest is the best. So it doesn't matter how many layovers you have.
Right.
And I'm like, except my body doesn't work the way it's supposed to. So you're going to expose me to all this stuff. Awesome. This sounds like a good time. They wouldn't give me a rental car. So I had to rely on taxis. So I get up there. I go meet with 2 separate doctors. This lady does an exam, if that's what you want to call it. She does an exam. And then they write up all this documentation and they send it back to the military, and the military makes a decision on whether or not you can stay in. So in the meantime, between March and June, because once that was done, it was in like the rating process. So I could go on leave. My brother graduated in April, so I got to go see my brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my mom was really happy when she saw me because I'd put on like 20 pounds. So I wasn't a beanpole anymore. I was still super skinny, but I like looked better.
Healthier. Yeah.
So she was okay. So we went down there, and then I get back, and they're like, okay, well, you need to meet with your commander. Like, it was so bad. So like, you obviously can't see my Crohn's disease, right? Like, it's not just flailing out there for everyone to look at. And I feel like this is a lot of people with autoimmune diseases or just invisible diseases go through this a lot anyway. I actually had my flight chief. We were doing PT one day because I still had to go to PT, even though I was on a waiver and I couldn't do anything because anything to like speed up the process on the inside was not a good time, right?
Right.
So my GI was like, you're not doing anything. Here you go. Go walk the track twice or something. Like, keep your command happy. And I was like, okay. So they have this profile, and like there's a few of my higher ups that know what's wrong with me because, I mean, I got to tell somebody. Like, I trusted them and like everything was fine. But I hear him running, and I hear him run by me, and he's like, she doesn't even look sick. I don't know why she's not running. And I was like, you have 2 stripes on me and you're my flight chief, because the way I would like to cuss you out right now is just, I'm not trying to get dishonorably discharged when I'm working on an MEB. So I'm going to let you have to say what you have to say.
Mm-hmm.
It was like that all the time though. Like, people were just like, well, you don't look sick. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Because if you would have met me 4 months ago, I can't promise you that you would feel the same way.
Right. Exactly.
So I go through the whole process. My MEB officer calls me in. Well, my commander calls me in first, and he's like, all right, Destynie, we got some options. And I'm like, okay. He's like, if you want to stay, I can write you a letter so you can stay. I was like, really? And he's like, I mean, if you want to. I was like, cool. So in this career field that's small enough as it is, I was like, I would be stuck stateside within an hour of a GI clinic no matter where I go. So I have 7 places that you guys could send me. And he was like, well, when you put it like that, and I was like, no. This is my career I have to look after. Like, what does my growth look like there? I said, because 2 of them are in Oklahoma. No, I'm not going to Oklahoma. He was like, that's fair. He's like, but one's in Florida. I was like, right, but I can't deploy. So what am I going to do? Like, I can't even do my job.
Right.
At this point, they made me the unit deployment manager. So I in-process and out-process people and made sure they had all their paperwork all nice and pretty so they could leave to go do stuff that I can't do.
That you want to go do,
like,
right?
Oh, this is so rude. So he was like, so you want to get out then? I was like, if I have the option to like lollygag around and not be able to like do my, because I really enjoyed my job. Like, my job was super cool. If I can't do it, I don't want it. Like,
Right.
I miss my job. And he's like, all right, well, I'll write your letter that says you'd be better off not being here. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah. He's like, that's what you want. That's what I'll write. And I was like, perfect. Sign it up, sir. Appreciate your time. So he writes his letter.
You're in how many years at this point?
6.
6. Okay.
Yeah, so I was only in for 6.5 total. I would have been in until they literally kicked me out. Until they were like, ma'am, you've been here your whole life. We need you to move on. Can't. Gotta go. I would have stayed in forever. So he writes the letter. I'm still on this profile. I'm still on my medication. I'm still on multiple pills to try to like help speed up the process to get things to go away. And my Pueblo comes back and he's like, all right, we have your package. I'm like, okay, cool. What's it look like? And he's like, well, they're going to give you 30% for Crohn's disease and 10% for something else that you have and 10% for something else that you have. I was like, 30% for my Crohn's disease. I was like, dude, a year ago I was dying. Like, what do you mean 30%?
Yeah.
He's like, well, this is what they came, like, he was the sweetest guy I've ever met in my life. Not very knowledgeable in what he was doing. It was kind of like one of those, well, this is what they said.
30%.
Yeah. So at the time, Crohn's was 30, 60, 100. And there was no in between. And I was like, are you sure? He's like, well, you can appeal it, but if you appeal it, you're going to be stuck here until the appeal's gone. He's like, you won't be able to go on leave. You won't be able to do anything. I was like, y'all really like holding this whole leave thing over people's heads, don't you? Because you know we just want to leave. He's like, well, it's kind of the way that it is. And I was like, sure. So fine. I'll take it. Thinking that when I get out, I'll just fight it when I get out with the VA and like we'll go from there. Well, that was a mistake on my part. I probably should have just appealed it. He's like, well, you could be here for another year to year and a half. And I was like, bro, it's a tropical island.
For an appeal?
Yeah. The appeals take a
Wow.
long time because then they're not in a rush because
Sure.
they gave you your rating. You don't want it. Now you're on our time. You're going to wait for
Yeah.
us, which is, the
Making
military
us
as
do
a
extra
whole.
work.
So, July of 2013, I say see you to the Air Force because 30% or more, they medically retired you back then. So I was getting retirement and my VA disability,
Okay.
which is cool to an extent until you get your COLA raise in October and now your VA disability is more than your military retirement, your medical retirement. So now your medical retirement's not getting paid to you anymore because you're making more with the VA. So now you just have this. You had these, but now you just have this. And I was like, okay. So I get to Chicago. So I'm from Northern Illinois. So my hospital was North Chicago. It took them 5 months to get me in to see my GI. So this is 5 months without my medication. Yeah. And the longer you go like on medication like that without it, the more your body's like, well, we don't like it when you come back. So they're like, well, we know what this is. Absolutely not. Like karate chopping it out, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. So finally they get me in. I go up to North Chicago a few times to get my infusion. And I'm like, is there anywhere closer that I can go? Because you guys are like almost 2 hours away. And it's about to be winter time.
Right.
This is Northern Illinois. Like, there's ice all the time. No, thank you. And they're like, oh, yeah, well, we can do a community care referral and you can go, like, somewhere closer to you. And I was like, okay, can we do that? And they're like, sure. So the issue with a Remicade infusion and a community care referral, they have to draw blood every time you get your infusion to make sure that your numbers are okay. You have to take 2 Tylenol, 2 Benadryl, and then it still takes 30 to 40 minutes before they bring you your medicine. And it's like a 3-hour infusion.
Oh, wow.
Mine was a slow drip. 3 hours. Yeah. Well, by the time all these medicines kick in and you're like, oh, I'm taking a Benadryl nap, they're like, oh, you're almost done. So now you're driving like, excuse
I can't believe they
me?
let you drive. That's crazy.
Yep.
I had to do something similar to that when I had to get iron infusions,
Mm.
and the Benadryl, and there was no way in hell I was driving.
They've threatened me with those. I've told them no.
Yeah.
I've heard
They
people
weren't
feel
fun.
so awful after
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
No, thank you. It's like, I'll try to stomach this pill for as long as I can. Try to work it through. So then the other part about doing community care is your community care partner has to talk to your VA doctor, and they also have to talk to you to make sure your referral doesn't lapse. Because once it lapses, they're no longer getting paid, so they won't schedule your appointment. So if they do it less than 2 weeks before your infusion is due, it takes 30 days to 6 weeks for the VA to come back with your new referral. So now I'm lapsed again, and I'm like, this medicine is going to stop working, and I'm going to freak out because this
Right.
is the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Well, and you know the result of that. You know the pain that's coming and just
Mhm.
feeling like shit.
All the time. Just, well, and even still, like when you have a flare up when you're on those medications, you're like, what did I do? Like, what's wrong?
Yeah.
Like, this is it. This is the end. Like, what did I
Right.
do? And like, it's not a good time. So my referral lapses, and I'm like, shit. I'm like, okay. Like, well, I'm not going to let that happen again. So I like put an alarm in my phone for like a certain day. I was like, contact the VA, tell them this needs to
Yeah.
happen, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. They get your referral. Oh, yeah, we'll get to it. Thanks. But I kind of need to make sure that I can get in for my next infusion. Oh, yeah, no, it'll be fine. It was never fine. Never. I don't know how many times I went like 2, 3, 4, sometimes 6 weeks. I'd go an entire
No.
infusion cycle, yeah, without getting it. Yep. And then I'd go to the ER, and the ER would be like, "Oh, you're just having a flare up. Here's a shot of morphine and some steroids. Have fun." Like, more prednisone?
Yeah,
I
it's like,
just
how do you even function with all this?
oh, very carefully. I didn't
Yeah.
really have a choice. I was working, my husband was working. We had my daughter, who we saw every week because that was the way that my ex and I worked that out. And then he has a daughter. So I have 4 kids.
Yeah.
Not at this point. I only had 2, but he has a daughter, so we have visitation with her. So we're up and down between upstate New York and northern Illinois. Like, driving is not a good time.
Oh,
Especially
God.
when you're like
Especially with
flared.
that.
Oh, it's
Yes.
awful. I would lay in the middle of shark infested waters before I will ever go on a road trip in the middle of a flare ever again.
I bet.
Like, just take me. I do not care. Just take me. Like, we're not doing this.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. So we're on Remicade still. We're still in Illinois. I have 2 more babies back to back. My youngest 2 are 13 months and 6 days apart. So I really enjoyed that time because for some reason when I was pregnant, I didn't know I was sick. My body was the best. I was like, it's got to be eating my baby. Like, at one point, I was like, they are in danger. They have to be. Nope.
It's like it went into remission or something during that time?
Completely. Yes, completely. And I was like,
Wow.
can we stay like this? Like, that'd be super cool. And like, I had C-sections with both of them because my doctor was like, we're not putting that pressure in places we don't need to because we don't know what that's going to do to you. So we're just going to go ahead and take them out. And I was like, all right, whatever, that's fine.
Sounds like the smartest doctor so far.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I loved my GO. Yeah, my OB, I loved her. My baby, she was great. When I went in, so I had my daughter in April of 2016. And then when I went in that September, she was like, somebody forgot to come see me. And I was like, yeah, you think? And she was like, because in 7 more months, you're going to have another baby. And I was like, yeah, I know. She was great. So I got my tube side after my son. And she like peeked over the thing. She's like, are you sure you want to do this? I was like, ma'am, I am 29 years old and I have 4 kids. Shut it down. Like, we are finished.
It's
Please,
done.
no. So 2018 rolls around. Now, every time I have a new baby, I have to file with the VA to tell them that I've had a new baby. I will say that the VA women's care is really great. So, like, my referral was written for the entire time I was pregnant. So,
Makes
like,
sense.
right? Like, this is a lifelong disease. Can we just do that too? I don't understand why it has to be I think referrals.
Or shit, at least yearly, something for you to get your medicine and your that makes no sense.
I think my referrals are only good for 4 to 5 months. Even still. Yeah. So I have to keep track of them still to like, I love my rep over at the VA though, the case manager over there in my GI office. I'm like, ma'am, it's coming up. She's like, I got it, Destynie. We're good. We'll get it done before your next one. Okay, thank you.
Good.
Yeah, and usually they're pretty good about it. They've gotten better since we've been there. 2020 was a shit show. But
oh God, I'm sure.
Yeah. So every time I have a baby, I have to file with the VA to let them know I have a baby so they pay me more money, right? Because that's with the dependence thing, that's how that works. So in 2018, I have a horrible flare. Like, it was awful. My meds weren't working. The steroids weren't working. Nothing was working. I could not figure out what was wrong with me. Well, I had a blockage. So they have to put me on this medicine to like soften everything and just kind of, oh, sorry, keep it, and just kind of push it out, right?
So like hard stool, like blockage, or
my intestines had inflamed so much that all the scar tissue had just like closed up.
close it up. Oh,
Yeah. God. Yeah. That was the first time that happened to me. And that was probably one of the scariest things that's ever happened in my life. Because I was like, this only goes like one of 3 ways.
Yeah.
What are we going to do? They're like, well, we're going to give you an IV drip. And then we're going to give you a steroid shot. And we're going to give you pain medicine. And then we're going to give you another steroid shot. And we're going to see what happens. I was like, that sounds like a lot of steroids. They're like, it is, and it's 2 separate kinds, so we'll see what happens. I'm like, okay. So I'm stuck in the hospital overnight, and it worked. And I was like, okay. They're like, but we have to do another CT scan to make sure that it's not going to like as soon as you leave.
Did they talk about taking that scar tissue out or anything?
Mm-mm.
No.
Not at that point. Nope. So then so they get it under control and everything was good. So then in 2019, my husband gets an offer for a job in Colorado. And I was like, I love Colorado. Let's go. So we pack up ourselves and our 2 babies together. And then my daughter stays with her dad. And then his daughter still lives with her mom in upstate New York. And we moved to Colorado. I should have just stayed in Illinois. So we lived in Canyon City, which was like an hour and a half south of Colorado Springs.
Okay.
The closest VA that could do my infusions was up in Denver. So it was like a 2.5, 3-hour drive that I was also not making in the winter because I will not be driving passes through the mountains in the winter.
No.
Not it. Not doing it. No. So I get to Colorado. I try to get enrolled in the VA healthcare system there. Nobody will call me back. Like, we moved to Colorado in December. I didn't get my first infusion until July, and I had to call the director of the VA hospital in Buffalo to tell them that nobody would contact me so I could get into the GI clinic, and I have a service-connected GI issue.
Yeah.
And she was like, you what? Like, what? There's nothing in your chart that says that you called. I was like, would you like a copy of my phone bill? Because I will send it to you every time I have called you guys. She's like, no, ma'am, I believe you. It's fine.
So what was the problem? Just
nobody was passing it along. They were getting my message and just moving on. I have no idea, but she got it handled. So somebody finally calls me to in-process me. I then have to wait. So this is July of 2020. So COVID is ripping roaring, right?
Yeah.
Excuse me. So this doctor that I talked to is like, well, I'm looking through your records and I'm looking at all the medication that you're on. He's like, I don't know how we're going to get you your Remicade infusion. I was like, I love that for me. Thank you. What does that mean? He's like, well, none of the hospitals down in your area take community care through the VA because they're so far away. He's like, but we could send you to Colorado Springs. I was like, cool, until it's winter. And it's still not safe. I was like, I don't have a 4-wheel drive vehicle. Like, he's like, okay, well, how do you feel about trying Humira? I was like, is that the shot? He's like, it is. And I was like, oh, I guess. I was like, is it the same as, like, is it going to ruin my chances of ever going back to Remicade again? He's like, no, it's basically the same thing. It's just, he's like, it's the same line of medication. You just have to give yourself the shot. It's every 4 weeks. And I was like, okay. I'll give it a shot.
IM. Intramuscular.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can't do it. So my husband has to do it for me because I'm like, this is not happening. The anxiety that I got from getting a shot, like, people say I'm crazy all the time because of how many tattoos I have. They're like, you're not scared of needles. I was like, I'm not scared. It just hurts and I don't like it.
It is different.
Yes. And that medicine, if it wasn't at the perfect temperature, it either burned or stung like a son of a bitch going in. It was so bad. And then he'd have to like massage it out. And that I wanted to punch him in the face for. I was like, this is not worth it. Like, I would rather go back on Remicade. He's like, well, you're going to have to come up to Denver if you want your Remicade infusions. It's like, awesome, cool. So we weren't in Colorado very long. That could be its whole entire own podcast story. So we end up moving to Northern Illinois in August of 2020.
Okay.
In the thick of COVID, we drive our 4 children across the country because why not, right? Who cares? Here we go. So we do that. We get to Illinois, or not Illinois, New
And
York.
was he military too?
He was in the Navy.
Okay.
Yeah. That's how we met. He was stationed in North Chicago.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So
he's still in.
so at this point he's a reservist.
Okay.
So he got out in October of 2020, but he was on like convalescent leave for August and September because they knew what was going on. So they were like, yeah, you're fine. Your time's up. You can just go. So we moved to New York, and it's the same thing with the hospital in Syracuse. So like, will you have to register with the hospital in Buffalo? Okay. Register with the hospital in Buffalo. They're like, well, you're really far away. I was like, yeah, I understand that. But Syracuse told me I had to register with you so I could go through them so I could get up here. And they were like, oh, right, yeah. So they do that. They get me like through the whole process. And they're like, do you want community care? And I was like, I would rather not drive to Syracuse in the snow. So yes, that's fine. They're like, okay. So they give me a community care referral to a GI that's like right down the road. So I'm going to this guy and he's like, you've been on and off Remicade for like, since like 2012. I was like, yeah, I'm aware. Thank you very much. He's like, I have to test you for antibodies to see if it's even still going to work. Because at this point, I hadn't had an infusion in almost 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
So I was not only lacking, but the Humira didn't work. So the Remicade was trying to play catch up. He's like, I have to see if this is even going to work for you. And I was like, fine, do the blood work. So he does the blood work and he comes back and my numbers are through the roof. Like my blood ate that Remicade right up. And I was like, in a good way? And he's like, no. He's like, your antibodies, he's like, it didn't do anything. And I was like not even a little bit, because I really like that stuff. He's like, it doesn't like you anymore. He's like, and your body figured it out, so it's not going to work. I was like, okay. Yeah. So he's like, we're going to put you on a new medication. I was like, okay. What are we trying now? He's like, it's a new one. It's called Entyvio. It's like it just focuses on your gut. And I'm like, okay, well, that's not going to work because I have joint problems. I have skin issues when I have a flare up.
Yeah,
Like
it's totally systemic for you.
no, oh, completely.
Yeah.
Like my eyes get blurry when I'm in the middle of a flare up. There's like this, I don't even know how to, it's almost like a film that covers my eye. It's just this one too. So like seeing is a chore in and of itself. He's like, well, we have to try it. He's like, because there's not a whole lot of other options for you. And I was like, cool, I love that. Thanks. So we go on Entyvio. I've been on Entyvio for 5 years now. And we're actually, I have an appointment on Friday to go talk to them about getting on a new one because it's not working anymore.
It was,
yeah. So it worked from 2020, hold on, I have my notes. So he puts me on this medicine, sends me to go get my infusions, and then between 2020 when I first got there and somewhere in the middle of 2021, my GI doc was like, I hate this, and moved. Just left the practice. Nobody told me. Nobody called me. So I'm like, hey, I need my community care referral redone, blah, blah. They're like, oh, well, he left. I was like, oh, did you happen to call all the other veterans that you have on your payroll too and tell them that he's no longer there? Or like, I'm just a special one. Like, I don't understand. They're like, oh. I was like, I love that. Okay. Awesome. Great. Cool. So at this point, I'm just like, fuck it. I'm just going to the VA because I'm tired of this community care shit. Like, I'm just tired of the whole thing. I will just go to the VA. If there's going to be a snowstorm, sorry, babe, you're out of work for the day. You're going to have to take me. I don't know what to tell you. We're just doing it this way. And he's like, all right, fine. So 2023 rolls around and it's June of 2023, July of 2023. Nope, March, because my daughter was leaving after her spring break up with us. There was like this running joke for almost 2 years that when my oldest came to visit, she wasn't allowed to leave because I ended up in the hospital the day before she was supposed to leave.
Oh, geez.
It happened for like 4 visits in a row. And I was like, you can't come here anymore. Either that or you just can't leave. Take your pick. And she's like, She's like, Mom, you're great. I'm like, yeah, I know. So she goes to leave in March, and actually, no, it was because that November we went home to Northern Illinois to go visit family for Thanksgiving, and we were going to see her. And the day that we were supposed to leave, we had to postpone it by a day because I was in the ER because I had a blockage. So they get that blockage undone. The following March, she comes for spring break. She leaves. I get another one. I was like, girlfriend, this is not working out. She's like, I know. I'm sorry. So then it's bad. Like continuous blockages, continuous hospital visits. They swear the Entyvio is still working for whatever reason. It's just the scar tissue that's there. It's gotten so bad that it's like closing up on the inside.
Then why wouldn't they remove it?
We're getting there. They do eventually.
But it gets so bad that there's no other option, I guess.
Oh, wait. Oh, but wait, there's more. So June, they finally get all the referrals set. I go to an upstate doctor at Upstate Medical Center, which I cannot say enough good things about this doctor and the GI clinic at Upstate. He literally saved my life. Like, literally.
Wow.
Yeah. So, shout out to him.
Finally.
Yes. He finally, like, he literally saved my life. So, June, I go in for a colonoscopy with him. This is like my 17th one, right? By this point. Yeah. I took a very long hiatus post-surgery. Like, this one next week will be my first one in almost 2.5 years, and I'm not looking forward to it.
I bet.
But so we go in for colonoscopy, and he's like, all right, girlfriend. He's like, this is everything that's wrong. This is everything I could see. He's like, I pushed it a little bit further than I should have because I wanted to make sure that I knew what I was walking into. He's like, there's still going to be a couple surprises, but everything should be fine. We're going to set your surgery for August 10th of 2023. Yeah. I was like, okay, August 10th. You got it, sir. I'll be here. He's like, okay, here's all your prep. Here's everything that we need to do. I'll see you then. And I'm like, okay. August 5th, 2023. It completely closed up on me. 5 days before surgery, my intestines were like done. I'm in the hospital. I haven't had anything normal happen to me in like 2 days. I am in tears. They gave me 2 doses of morphine back to back to get me to calm down and to get the pain to stop. And it was still there. So I will not go to the hospital that is like the closest to me because they're notorious for like treating you like a drug addict and then just sending you home. And I was like, I'm not trying to die today. So we went to another hospital that's closer that I love the people there too, but it's just like further away. So it doesn't really make sense. But I get there and they're like, okay, well, we need to do a CT scan, figure out what's wrong with you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay. Do the CT scan. Doc comes back. He's like, you were right. I was like, it completely closed up. He's like, yeah, it's completely closed up. He's like, who's your doctor at Upstate? So I tell him. So he calls the doctor at Upstate. This is kind of funny, but like not really. Doc's like, yep, it's closed. You need to come up here. We're going to move your surgery up. I was like, okay, great. He's like, but here's the shitty part. And I was like, what else could there be? He's like, we have to put a tube in your nose because we have to pull everything out because you can't prep. And I was like, that's a new one. I was like, okay.
Like, you better knock my ass out.
Sure. Is there any way to go to sleep for that? And he's like, unfortunately, no, because you have to help it. Yeah.
I know. Oh, God.
So that day I found out I have a deviated septum on the right side of my face because they tried that side first and it didn't work.
Yeah.
So then they do the other side. Oh, it was so bad.
That's traumatic.
It was. It was very traumatic. And like my husband wasn't in the room with me because he was getting dropped off by a friend so he could take our vehicle home. So he wasn't even with me. He comes in. He's like, what the fuck happened to you? I was like, so my intestines are completely closed. And they shoved a tube up my nose to suck everything out. He was like, I see that. I was like, yeah, I don't know what's happening. He's like, no, you are very drugged right now. I can imagine you have no idea what's happening. I was like, you have to ask them. I have no clue. He's like, okay. So it's like 2:00 in the morning at this point. Still waiting on the ambulance to come pick me up to take me down to Upstate in Syracuse, which is an hour and a half away. Ambulance finally shows up. Now, mind you, they're regularly giving me pain meds so that I'm not screaming in pain. And they're giving me whatever other medicine he wants them to give me and all kinds of stuff. So I finally get in the ambulance. They take me down to upstate. So there's the upstate medical center and then there's the upstate hospital. Okay? I have to make that distinction very clear. Because they dropped me off at the wrong hospital. They dropped me off at the upstate hospital. They take me into the ER. This part I remember very vividly because I was like, how do you fuck this up? Like, my doctor's over there. Like, what do you mean? They drop me off. They sign my paperwork. They get back in the ambulance and they leave. And I was like, And then I hear nurses like talking and all of a sudden I hear, but she's not supposed to be here. What do you mean? Where am I supposed to be? And the nurse looks around the corner. She's like, oh, I didn't realize you could hear me. And I was like, doesn't matter. My medical, where am I supposed to be? She's like, so you're supposed to be at Upstate Medical Center across the street. And I was like, who's walking me over there? Like, this has got to be the easiest way.
Right.
Who's walking me over there? She's like, ma'am, that's not. But what if I sign a waiver? Like, you could just push, like, give me a row,
You're
something.
like,
I will
freaking
do
get
it myself.
there. Yeah.
Just put me over there, please. I was stuck in a room getting rotated pain meds and whatever other meds he wanted every 6 to 8 hours for 36 hours. I sat there. Yeah. Just at the wrong hospital. I feel like at one point they put me in a closet because I have no idea. I just know I was there and I was hooked up to a bunch of stuff. They had me on like those food bags or whatever because you can't eat anything.
Yeah.
So you need all those nutrients. That thing looks funky. I hate it. So,
oh my goodness.
Yeah. So this was really fun. So then they finally get me to the right hospital 36 hours later. And he's like, Destiny, it's good to see you. And I just looked at him. He's like, I know, I heard. I am so sorry. And I was like, I don't know why they couldn't have walked me over here. He's
like, welcome to my life.
I know. I was like, I'm sure you are. I appreciate that. But he's like, what happened? I was like, you tell me. You were in there last. I have no idea. He's
Right.
like, all right. He's like, I guess we didn't want to wait until Monday. He's like, so we'll do it on Friday. Or I was supposed to do it Wednesday. He's like, I guess you didn't want to wait till Wednesday. We'll do it on Monday. And I was like, okay, that's fine. So we're still doing the tube thing and we're still getting the meds. And like, I can't eat anything. I can't do anything. I'm stuck in this bed. It's like Friday afternoon at this point. Surgery's not until Monday. So I'm literally just stuck at the hospital for 2 days with like people coming in and out the other side. I learned so many fun things about people and ways they can get injured just sitting in there. My kids, I only let them come see me one time because it scared the crap out of them. And I was like, oh.
Well, and that tube in your nose and everything too. Oh gosh.
Yeah. My kids now are so traumatized that every time I tell them I have to go to the hospital, they're like, Mommy, do you have to stay?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, not this time. They're like, no, but you said that once before, and then like you were stuck there for a long time. Like, do you have to stay? My youngest daughter, she's like, Mommy, please don't go to the hospital. I don't want you to have to stay at the hospital. And I'm like, baby, I don't. It's for my back. It's not for my tummy. Like, it's okay. And she'll be like, are you sure you're gonna come home? Yes, I'm sure. She's okay.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. I feel so bad. Like, I didn't do it on purpose, but I like traumatized that little girl by how often I was in the hospital for like that whole year. I was like, yeah, I'm so sorry. So he does the surgery. My surgery is only supposed to take 3 hours, most. I was in there for 6 because my scar tissue in the section that it was right on top of my bladder and it fused to it. Yeah. I was like, well, that's the weirdest shit I've ever heard in my entire life. He's like, because I had told him, I was like, after I go to the bathroom, I was like, I have to pee for like every 2 minutes for like 30 minutes afterwards. I was like, it's the weirdest thing ever. He's like, well, you don't have, like all the issues you could have because of that. He's like, you don't have any of those. I was like, thank you. Then what's wrong? He's like, Destiny, we figured out what the problem was. And I was like, what was it? And like, he tells me and I was like, oh, huh? He's like, yeah, it was fused to it. So your surgery took 3 extra hours so we could get it. I was like, oh, awesome.
Yeah, you probably had scar tissue all over the place.
So much.
Yeah.
And because of my Crohn's, my body scars so hard. Like, I have scar tissue everywhere. So surgery goes great. right? Everything gets taken out. I don't need a bag, which makes me the happiest person on the planet. Not even a temporary one. That was my biggest fear.
Right.
They're like, the two things I told him is, Doc, don't let me have a bag and get this fucking tube out of my nose.
Yeah.
He was like, okay.
It's like, deal.
Please.
Yeah.
He's like, the first one, I can't guarantee. He goes, but the second one, I will do my best. I was like, no. I need solid promises on both. He's like, Destiny, I can't do that. I was like, come on, dude. So I wake up and I'm like, oh, there's no tube in my nose. And my husband was like, no, babe, there's no tube in your nose. I was like, do I have a bag? He goes, no, you don't. I was, yes. We are
like,
winning.
I already won.
Yes. Great. He's like, it went well. He's like, they got out everything that they needed to get out. He's like, everything went back the way it was supposed to. He's like, now we just have to wait for it to start working again. And I was like, okay. That only took like 2.5, 3 days. So I was in a hospital for a week, almost a week and a half.
Wow.
It was awful. Split up between 3 different hospitals. So the VA does this really fun thing where if you go in for a service-connected surgery, they'll pay you temporary 100% for like convalescent because you can't work.
Mm-hmm.
So after my surgery, that was like top of the line of things that we needed to get done. We needed to get this filed with the VA so I could get the temporary because I wasn't working. So get that done. I filed that in when I'm like coherent enough to do so. So in like September, file that end of August, early September. They don't give me a decision until December. So then they backdate it from August and September like to October 1st. So that's all well and good, but I needed it then and I didn't, because they won't do it like beforehand. Because if you go back to work,
right,
then you're going to owe them money. So dumb. But, so they give me the temporary 100%. So I'm like, okay, great. And then things are going better. I'm back on my Entyvio. Like I said, now it's not really working. So this is another fun part of this whole story. So my surgery was in August of 23. January of 24, I got the flu because kids are gross and they go to school and they bring home lots of disgusting things. I end up with the flu. I have a coughing fit and I pop a hernia in one of the scars that they used to put a camera in for my previous surgery. Yeah, so I had back-to-back surgeries, August of 2023, and then my hernia repair in September of 24. It took me longer to heal from my hernia repair than it did for me to heal from my intestinal resection surgery.
Wow.
It was insane. I was like, why is this taking so long? Like, it didn't take this long a year ago. My husband's like, that's why? Because it's been less than a year. I was like, right, but I had babies back-to-back. What do you mean? Right. He's like, Destiny, you're on your 5th abdominal surgery. He's like, let it take time to heal. Yeah. I was like, fine. So go through that. VA pays for that too because they connected it to my surgery. And I was like, well, thank you for that. I appreciate it, right? So I have scars from that. So then they bump me up to 50% for this one gnarly scar that I have that goes across my belly button. I'm like, how kind of you. Thank you so much. So then in October of 24, the VA changes their criteria for Crohn's disease. So this entire time, I'm like, well, I've never gotten worse than what I was when I almost died when they like separated me from the military. So I'm not dead, so they're not going to give me more money for this. So I only filed for an increase like twice and they denied me both times. And I was like, 30% it is, I guess. Like they'll pay me more once I'm a goner, right? Well, they changed the criteria for it. And I was like, I got this in the bag. Like I have all of these things and I can prove it throughout my records for years. So December 13th, 2024, I file for 100% for my Crohn's disease. I was like, yes, this is going to happen, right? In April of this year, I find out that I was finally awarded my 100%, backdated to December, right? Yeah.
Yay.
So this is awesome. This is huge, right? So now everything's paid for going forward. Like all my stuff is good.
Finally.
But they only backdated it to December, to when I filed. So they have to look at your entire file to make sure that you're getting worse, right? That like you meet the criteria of like still being alive but a walking dead person, right? And I was like, hold on a second. Like, this should have been backdated to the day that I got out. Like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
So I talked to my VSO. I love my VSO in Syracuse so much. Like, he is probably one of the most amazing people I've ever met. He is always down for a fight with the federal government. And I'm like, homie, let's go. Like, let's do it. Right. So I get that decision April 4th. Between April 4th and April 14th, I'm looking through my MEB package. Because I'm like, I wonder if there's anything in here that, like, they missed, right? To see if this is just a total fuck up on the VA. Because they don't do that. What do you mean, right? They get it right the first time, every time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking through my package, and I'm looking at my MEB summary, and I see at the bottom, there's like a paragraph that's like, I'm still capable of doing my job. I can still be in the military. My disease isn't that bad. Like, it's only flared up sometimes. Like, all it's just bullshit, just word vomit bullshit, right? And I'm like, when was that written? That was written in February of 2012. I was like, well, false, but okay, sure. Because that was before I went to California. That was before I had all that stuff. That was before my profile, before my Remicade. That was before everything. So I was like, okay, but my MEB wasn't even going on at this point. How the fuck do you know? Like, what do you mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's this little line at the bottom that says addendum. It says, as of March 2013, everything in this file is still correct. And I was like, wait. No, it's not. So I'm like, and it's signed by this major. I will not say her name, but if I ever found her, I'm going to leave that one alone.
Let me just breathe for a minute.
Just not. And I'm like, no, it's not. So I call Matt, and I'm like, Matt, I have a question. And he's like, okay. I was like, if you see a blatant lie in your MEB package, I was like, and I have the evidence to prove it in my MEB package, how do we fight this? He's like, well, we file a clear and unmistakable error. He's like, but you have to prove it. And I was like, okay, give me a couple days. And he's like, uh-oh. He's like, okay, Destynie. He's like, all right. So I'm going through, and I'm like, no, because my profile was in October. I was like, and then I went to California. I was like, and then I couldn't do my job, and my commander said that I couldn't stay. And like, no, like, none of that is correct. Like you lying bitch. Excuse me. What?
So you
the
really
fuck?
knew of her and everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. Like, if it happened to me, like, how many other people's MEBs did you pencil whip because you got this one out, get this? The first time I Googled her name, she got awards for how well she did with Okinawa's MEB packages. And I was like, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
excuse me? I was like, okay. All right, we're going to breathe that one out. And Matt's like, well, what do you mean? And so I'm like telling him all this stuff. And he's like, all right, Destynie. He's like, find the criteria, find the like laws and like everything that goes into the VA. He's like, and send it to me. I was like, bet. All right, here we go. So I send him a lay statement. I send him a lay statement from my husband. I send him the criteria for Crohn's back then, the criteria for Crohn's now, the criteria for 100%, everything that said that I was 100%, and like the parts of my MEB statement or my summary that said I was at 100%. So I send it to him, and he calls me, and he's like, holy shit. I was like, what? He's like, I ran this past my legal team, and they asked if you were an attorney. I was like, I'm not, but thank you. I appreciate that. He's like, this is one of the best CUE packages I've ever seen. And I was like, well, thanks. So he's like, all right, we're going to file this. He's like, because this is pretty sharp. I was like, okay, cool beans, right? So he files it, and I get a letter back maybe within like a month. I want to say this would have been May. I get a letter back nope, it was June 9th. I remember that because it's my daughter's birthday. I get this decision on June 9th, right? That says, you're outside of your 1-year window because you were asking for a supplemental claim against a claim you made in April of 2023. I was like, maybe Matt like hit the wrong button. Like maybe something happened, right? Like, I
Right.
don't know. Maybe I read it wrong. So I look and I was like, that definitely says April 2025. But this definitely says April of 2023. I was like, okay. So I called the VA hotline and I'm like, WTF, all the way across the board. And the girl was like, okay. She's like, let's look in your file and see if we can figure out the fuck they're talking about. And I was like, okay. She goes through my entire C file with me, the whole thing. She's like, Destynie, there's nothing in here from April of 2023. I was like, I know. I wanted to see if you could see it on your end because they have like, deeper digging they can do. She's like, no, boo, there's nothing in here. I was like, okay. So now what? She's like, well, I'm going to send a note to the Buffalo regional office and tell them that they messed up because there's nothing in your file. And I'm like, okay, yeah, in the bag, right? Yeah, no, can't ever be that easy. So the VA comes back and they're like, well, if she thinks it's wrong, she needs to file a CUE. I was like, another one? This is 2 in a row for you guys. Like, are you serious? Like, you're on a roll. Just keep going, right? Here we go. So I was like, okay. I was like, Matt, what do we do? He's like, contact your congresswoman. He's like, see what she can help with. And I was like, okay. Shot it off. She emailed me back in less than a day. And she was like, Mrs. Wood, we stand with you 100%. You're right. The VA messed up. We'll figure out how we can get them to fix it. Well, the VA was feeding them the same bullshit they were feeding me. Like, she needs to file a CUE. She needs to do this. She needs to do that. And I was like, but they're wrong.
Right.
She's like, no, Destynie, I believe you. She's like, but unfortunately at this point, all I can do is advocate for you. She's like, I can't like force them to do anything. I'm like, I'm not asking you to do that. I was like, but maybe a little throat pressure would be nice. She's like, she's like, I'm literally doing like the max that I can do for you. And I was like, okay, I appreciate that, ma'am. Like so very much. Thank you very much. So every time I reach out to the VA, I was reaching out to her. So she was reaching out to the VA. So they were just getting pounded from all. Matt was reaching out to them. He's like, Destynie, you have so many notes from the same day in your file. He's like, they're going to think that you just have different rifles coming in from all different directions. I was like, because I do. Like, I do that on purpose. He's like, no, good for you. So Matt's like, you're going to have to file for a higher level review. I was like, what does that mean? That sounds scary. He's like, well, you have to ask for an informal conference and you're going to have a phone call with a higher level reviewer and you're going to have to explain all of this to them. And I was like, your what hurts? I have to do what? I was like, why can't they just read it in my file? He goes, because this is a chance for you to not be a piece of paper and for you to be a person.
Right.
I was like, okay. He goes, and I'll be honest with you, it comes out of nowhere. He's like, you're going to file the higher level review, and then you're going to forget about it. And one day they're just going to call you and be like, hi, are you ready for your conference? He's like, you can tell them no, and that you need it to be scheduled another day. And boy, was he right. I was driving my car from seeing my horse back down to my house. And I was like, why is DC calling me? I answer the phone. I'm like, hello. Like, hi, is this Miss Wood? Yes. Hi, this is the higher level reviewer. Are you available right now? Sir, it is 2:45 on a Friday. Like, no, I am not available right now. What do you mean? And he's like, oh, well, I'm only here till 3. I was like, you were going to give me 15 minutes? Like, I have so much more to tell you. What do you mean? Okay. He's like, are you available Monday? And I was like, sure. If you want to give me anxiety all weekend to get through this, yes, why not? I am available on Monday. He's like, okay. So he calls me Monday. I schedule it for like 8 o'clock in the morning, right? Like I am not waiting. We're just doing the first thing in the morning on Monday. So he calls me Monday, 8 a.m. I'm in my office. I'm in front of the computer. I got all my stuff pulled up across my screens. And he was probably the nicest person at the VA I've talked to in a very long time. Yeah, I was nervous. He's like, okay, so why are we on this call today? And I was like, because Buffalo fucked up. And he was like, I'm sorry. I was like, this is why. And like, I told him about like the false date. And then I was like, and to top it off, it says in my file that I filed for a higher level review based on a file from October of 2023. I was like, I don't have anything in my file from October of 2023 either. So like, where are they getting these dates from? And he was like, ma'am, I'm gonna be honest with you. He's like, I'm pretty sure that October 2023 one was completely a clerical error. He's like, but you're right. It's wrong. There's nothing in here. I like the sound of that. I was like, okay. He's like, in the October one, he's like, you got temporary 100%, right? Back in August of 23. And I was like, well, yeah, because I had surgery. And he was like, okay. He goes, oh, that's what. He's like, well, that's backwards. So the VA had relabeled my diagnosis after my surgery, intestinal resection post Crohn's disease. I was like, I still very much have Crohn's disease. Like, I don't know. He goes, no. That's an error that we're going to get fixed too. He's like, because he's like, you know, when people get like their knee replaced, like they still get rated for knee injury, but it's like post knee replacement. And I was like, yeah. He goes, that's what it should say. But I understand why you're pissed because that's not what it says. And I was like, yeah, no, it's not. He's like, all right, we'll get that fixed too. And I'm like, okay. So he's like, what else did you want to talk about? So I was like, well, we can talk about the CUE that I filed to begin with. So I go through the whole thing with him. I go through like everything that was wrong in my file, like all the stuff. And he's like, okay. He's like, I have my work cut out for me for the next couple of days. He's like, so, he's like, this could take anywhere from 7, I think they have 7 to 30 days to get like their higher level review decision done. And then if they don't approve it, you have to go in front of a board of veterans appeals. So you have to go in front of like a federal VA judge and present your case to them. And you better be on your shit when you go in front of a VA judge because they will shred you. I've seen it happen to a couple of my friends and I'm like, no. So he's like, give me a few days. And I was like, okay. So that following week, I have an appointment at the VA for rheumatology because my back doesn't work and my skin's being weird. Nothing's working because my Entyvio's not working anymore, right? Mm-hmm. So instead of my GI admitting that my medicine's not working and we need to get put on a new one, she's like, well, go to this doctor and that doctor and this one and that one. I have 7 referrals out with the VA right now. I see GI, rheumatology, ophthalmology, ortho, my regular doctor, mental health. There's one more. Infusions. 7
Is it on the same system so everybody can see everybody's notes and visits and...
Thankfully, yeah. Yeah. But that's just because I do it all through the VA now. Before, when I was doing community care with like my doctors, nobody saw shit that the other one put in there. I think that's most of the reason that I just went full VA. But at the same time, it's still so hard. So I talked to this higher level reviewer. I was on the phone for 25 minutes, which is a long time for a higher level review. So
yeah, he was only going to give you a max of 15.
Right? And he was like ready to go. He wasn't paying attention to me. So I call Matt and I'm like, Matt, I just had my higher level review. And he's like, okay. He's like, what happened? And I was like, I was 25 minutes long. And he's like, what? I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, okay. Well, we'll keep an eye on it and we'll see what happens. And I was like, okay. He calls me back that next week. I'm on my way to a rheumatology appointment. And he's like, hey, so your higher level review came back. He's like, I'm not going to tell you what it says, though, because it's not signed yet. Like, it's in the this is what should happen phase, but somebody else still has to approve it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you wouldn't have called me if it was bad. But okay, Matthew, we will wait and see. I get done with my appointment. I'm on my way home, and he calls me again. And I was like, oh. So he calls me, and I'm like, hi, Matt. And he's like, hey, Desi, guess what? And I was like, what? He's like, they approved it. He's like, they backdated your 100% permanent and total disability to July of 2013 when you got out.
What?
Yeah. I beat the VA.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep, and I just found this out.
Talk about being your own advocate. Mm-hmm. Oh, my goodness.
And that's the thing, too. Like, I talked to Congress. I had Matt, my VSO. I filed all my own stuff. I stayed in the VA's ass. Like, I was on so many Facebook groups on how to do, like, CUEs and all kinds of stuff.
Really?
But it was wild, too, because at one point, I was like, you know what? I'm tired of this shit. I'm just going to hire an attorney because, you know, they only get a certain percentage of what you win. Right. And so I was like, fine, we'll just do it this way. so many attorneys were like, you're never going to win. Like, you didn't appeal it. It was all the way back in 2013. There's no way this is going to happen for you. And I'm like, well,
That's
you all
amazing.
suck. Like, I'm just going to do this myself then because you're wrong.
Right.
I know that I'm right. And the guy, like, for the higher level review, he thanked me for knowing my file as well as I did. He's like, Destynie, I could probably pull out a page of this and you could pull it up right in front of yourself and quote to me what I'm asking you. I was like, I could. Like, nobody knows my file better than I do.
Most people don't know how to advocate for themselves, even with medical procedures or whatever it might be. They're afraid.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And it's crazy.
I'll call that a big win.
Yeah, it was crazy too because I was supposed to be here in June and like things kept happening to where I couldn't make it.
Really?
Yeah. So 2 weeks before I'm supposed to be here, I win. So like my story, I beat my monster.
Yes.
So like my story ends well. And I was like,
gosh.
there's a reason that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
well, congratulations.
Thank you. But like I have another appointment on Friday to change my meds once again. And it's just like, it doesn't make the medical trauma worth it. It doesn't make like everything that's happened worth it. But it's like, finally somebody believed me.
Right.
Like,
and they listened.
Yeah.
Which is huge.
For the last 12 years, I've been telling people that this was worse than what you believed it to be. Like, you just wanted to get me out.
There's a lot of gaslighting in medical.
Yes. And like, that's the biggest thing that I think I take away from all that. I tell my husband all the time, like, stop letting people tell you how you feel. Stop letting people tell you what's wrong with you.
Mm-hmm.
They're not you. They don't know.
Yeah. It's funny. Well, you met Dan, my husband. I'll always be like, oh my God, you better advocate for me. Like if I'm in the hospital or something's going on, because I do that for everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, shit, what if God forbid I can't? Like your ass better be advocating for me.
Yeah. So my husband does a great job of that. Like after my surgery, my resection surgery, the bed to get me down the hallway was it was like electrical or whatever, and it died. Now, mind you, my husband is 6'7" and weighs like 280 pounds. Like, the dude is a tree, okay? So it dies, and like they can't figure out how to push it uphill because it keeps trying to resist and fall back down. So he pushes my hospital bed into my room. These three nurses are like, well, I'm on a profile. Another one's like, well, I can't pick her up. Another one's like, well, I don't know what to do. So this is the second time, because he's had to do it previously after one of my C-sections because nobody wanted to move me. He like he's become a professional at wrapping me up in a sheet and moving me into another bed, like post-surgery, because he had to do it then too.
Yeah.
But he's like, I get to a point, babe, where like you're suffering in this bed that you're in, and if I'm not going to do it, who else is going to?
Right.
And
it's so sad that that's reality.
Yeah. And there's been times like I've downplayed what's wrong with me because I'm like, I don't want to be stuck here. Like, they're not going to make me stay.
Right.
And he's like, but if you need to stay, you're going to stay. So I'm going to tell them the truth when you leave. And I'm like, oh, fine. But like, we teach our kids the same thing. Like, if you're not going to advocate for yourself, like, you're not going to know if somebody's advocating for you properly.
Right.
So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a story.
Yeah.
Oh, at least it has a good ending.
It does. Yeah, it does. I don't think I've cried that hard in a very long time. Like, it was just 12 years of that just came right out. It was,
and you probably had your adrenaline going just like all the time from being gaslit, from not having answers, from people not listening. And then like when you are able to breathe, it almost, you got to sometimes be careful that you don't get sad afterwards because like your body's just like relaxing and you don't know what to do with yourself.
Yep. No,
because you were always like, you had to be in fight mode.
There was no flighting. Absolutely not. And like,
Yeah.
I tell Aaron all the time, I'm like, when's the other shoe going to drop? Like, this can't be real. Like, there's no way that, like, this is real. He's like, no, this was a 12-year battle it's a 12-year war that you won. Right. And I'm like, great. Wow. But there's no way. Like, this, no. And even still, I'll go to the hospital and people will be like, are you sure you're that sick? I'm like, no, I made it up. Like, you see me.
Right.
You see how bad I look.
Right.
Like, before I went in for my surgery, the day before I went to the hospital, before they sent me to the wrong one, my boss wanted me to do something for her. And I was like, listen, if you want me to do that this evening, I need to go home and take a nap. And she was like, why? She's a very like work yourself into the ground to like prove to the world you can do it kind of person. I'm like, no, ma'am, we're not doing that. I was like, well, everyone at this thing you want me to go to is either going to get puked on or I'm going to fall asleep in the middle of it. And she was like, well, I guess you can go take a nap. And I was like, cool, thank you for that. I got back 6 weeks after my surgery and she came into my office and she looked at me and she goes, don't take this the wrong way. I was like, I'm probably going to. What do you need? And she's like, you really were sick. She's like, I didn't realize how bad you looked because that's the only way that I knew you. And I was like, I wasn't fucking making it up. Right. I wasn't leaving early feeling like I was going to throw up or like something was wrong because I wanted to. Like,
people do that all the time with people, especially with pain. Oh, it doesn't hurt that bad. Or what? Yeah, it's just... I've been in those situations too. It sucks.
Or my favorite is like, no, it literally feels like an ice pick is stabbing me in my intestines. And they're like, really? Like, you know what? Until it happens to you.
Right.
Don't talk to me. And I have a really high pain tolerance.
Yeah.
Like, I had 3 C-sections, and outside of the last one, I moved myself from the operating table to the bed that I was staying in because I was tired of it. Like, my pain tolerance is up there.
Right.
If I have to go to the hospital, like, we have a problem.
Yeah.
My second, what's it called? Obstruction that I had, I was literally sitting in the hallway at the hospital, crying uncontrollably, waiting for them to have a bed for me. That's why I didn't go back to that one before my surgery, because that hospital literally treats you like you're an addict. So I'm throwing up. I don't feel good. My stomach hurts. I'm crying. I'm nauseous. They're like, oh, she's in withdrawal.
Yeah.
Bitch, I'm dying. Like, no, I'm not.
I'm not a freaking seeker.
No.
Can you just help me?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really unfortunate that it's like that now.
But it's so crazy how it switches when they do the CT scan and see that I have a blockage. You're like, oh my God, we're so sorry. Let's get you morphine. Oh, now you want to give me top-notch drugs, but you wouldn't even give me Tylenol 20 minutes ago.
Right. Exactly.
It is so frustrating. But now I can be like, no, this is what's wrong with me. This is what you're going to fix. This is what you're going to help me with.
Gosh, what a story.
Yeah.
Well.
Yep. And we're changing my meds on Friday because I know my meds aren't working. My GI is very... Crohn's is only in your gut kind of GI. And I'm like, ma'am, I feel like I've been dealing with this longer than you have.
You're like, hold on, let me tell you a story.
Yeah. Do you have an hour and a half of time? Because I have a situation for you. Yeah. No. So, yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
So many people that go through this kind of shit all the time.
Yeah. I mean, it's not even like VA specific, just like medically across the board.
Right.
You have to advocate for yourself.
Have to.
Because you're going to be gaslit by 100 doctors, but that 101st doctor that you see is going to be the one that helps you.
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, you're awesome. Good job.
Thank you. It's still a lot to take in, but
good for you.
It's exciting. Yeah. Thank you. Well, thank you for having me too.
Yes, of course.
I'm turning inside out.